VCR Redux will begin in T-5 minutes.
What the fart is VCR Redux?
It's the show where we take movies from the VCR era and bring them back to today.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, we start by talking about a VHS classic, and usually you'll say something like,
I haven't been this uncomfortable since I watched Meatballs 4, Meatballs to the Rescue with my parents. Oh yeah, or you'll say something stupid like,
I wish we lived in a world where the Garbage Pail Kids made as many movies as the Muppets.
but I know you'll always see it through with a positive attitude.
I hate this movie, I hate being here, I hate all of this. Oh, Jamie Kennedy. Oh, well, shit. Well, let's go for this.
He was in Son of Mask. This is genius.
I am not a gamer. I'd rather read books.
Ian's like the old lady that's like, I got video game monsters, I got toy monsters in here.
As long as we respect the passion and the artistry that went into these films.
You know, obviously they took this movie, it's 93, right? You're like, what do you want to see in your Mario movie? And they're like, oh, we want it to be grim, we want a lot of death, we want tits and ass.
Oh, and then we start the pitch ideas with modern day sequels like
Weekend at Bernie's 3, Cocaine Mountain.
Sometimes we take it kind of seriously.
I'll watch a Paul Verhoeven alien movie.
Oh my gosh, that alien will have more vaginas than anything you've ever seen in your life. Sometimes this Hawaiian shirted fool will pitch something stupid like,
I would take out the virtual reality stuff and just have it be about Jeff Fahey mowing the lawn.
Sometimes the best pitches come from the live chat.
Alex Bonafonte also pitches Grand Theft Starfighter Vice Galaxy.
wait, I thought I had the best pitches.
And what happens at the end of the movie? The ultimate fart. The fart that the warmth goes like all the way down to your socks.
The only rules are, there are no rules. Sometimes we cross over franchises.
Only the truck from Tango and Cash can kill Christine.
And sometimes we travel back in time.
Like 1995 is missing a good Universal Soldier sequel.
But you never know what we're gonna pitch next.
What do you want? Do you want Daniel Stern behind like a muzzled mask? Like,
We all know it should be Pesci behind the mask, and like underneath the mask, you should hear him going like fritter, 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 fritter.
you are so proud of yourself for that one. I can't stand you.
I would also love to see a Charles Bronson version of It's a Wonderful Life.
What?
Direct to DVD.
If you made a shot-for-shot remake of Scarface with Goofy as Al Pacino, it would be amazing.
Oh my God.
Doris, you need me to be the bad guy.
It's like the worst 1987 Disney movie Disney's ever made. Schlongo, directed by Jim Wynorski.
Like, I would watch a whole bowl of that.
Do the John Holmes story. Add a comedy spin to it.
Wow, the Wonderland murders are so funny.
I'd watch it on my mobile.
Something happens and he goes into a coma. He gets like, hit by a car or something. I know this is dark, but like, bear with me. He's got to go on.
Did you just go like Hard to Kill with Ferris Bueller?
I'd watch it on my iPad.
If you want to just like throw in the kitchen sink, it all works. Like Alien versus Predator versus RoboCop, like if that works. Alien versus Predator versus Terminator, that works.
Alien versus Predator versus Ernest, that works.
That works.
I respect everything you just said. I need David Silver and Terry Silver and the Sloan family all learning the Quicksilver, but they're doing it in Breakin' 3 Hydraulic Boogaloo, and it's underwater. It's gonna be incredible. Eat your fucking shit out, James Cameron. I got the underwater movie you can't touch.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mr. Toxie Goes to Washington.
My ass would be in the theater tomorrow.
If Harley Quinn gets 7 movies, then Tank Girl should get at least 70.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I mean, why should we even bother with Look Who's Talking when Air Bud is soaring to new highs?
All I know is I want Danny McBride.
I'd want him doing anything other than writing Halloween movies, honestly. Anything that keeps him away from that fucking job, I'm for it.
Just let him talk out of his butt. I don't care how he does it.
I'd rather not.
Austin Powers doing the Macarena.
That would be the opening credits. Come on.
But we have not yet had Die Hard on a half pipe. What if John McClane Jr. was a pro skateboarder and also an avid machine gun enthusiast? Skater Die Hard.
What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 156th episode of VCR Redux. We take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2024. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, the third leg of our VCR tripod himself. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Mac Daddy Mickey Torres is back on the show.
Yeah.
What's up, everyone?
And rounding out this righteous crew, proof positive that big things come in small builds, the bearded miniaturist himself, Preston Poling, is back on the show.
That's me. What's going on, guys?
Thank you so much for coming on, guys. We are here today to microwave some socks, to circumcise a gnat, and to give a boy named Bug his first golf lesson, because this world needs Uncle Buck too, and we're here to give it to you. But before Ian starts lecturing me for taking my nieces and nephews to the track, we got a dish on how Uncle Buck came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course that includes you at home and everyone watching the live chat. Was it Love at First Laserdisc? Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how Uncle Buck came into your lives. So, Preston, when did you first get Uncle Buck?
Mine was definitely VHS. I remember seeing it, and I was, I don't remember exactly how old I was when I saw it, but I was young. I was young enough to think that the oldest daughter there was really cool.
Oh.
I thought she was really cool. Now I'm too old. I think she's just, slutty little twerp. But when I was younger, I was all about that. So yeah, I was young when I saw it.
It's interesting. I feel like in the Hughes verse somewhere, which Ian and I have discussed at length on this show now, but like out there in the Hughes verse somewhere, T is running around, and I feel like she ran into his other kid from The Great Outdoors, which we'll get into that later, the older son, which was like, what, Russell, I want to say? Name in that one? I could be wrong. I could be off on that. But so there's like the Buck Russell thing, Yeah, I don't know, there's something about that name for him, I think, or for John Hughes, perhaps. But what about Mickey? Was this a McDate? I feel like this could have been a McDate.
So this is 1989. This is prime time date movies, all this stuff. Yes. I saw this movie in the theaters like at least 5 or 6 times.
Oh, be still my heart. This is why I love you.
I had seen this movie so many times in the theaters, and I would watch it over and over. I'd take a date, take whatever, it was just a harmless thing to do. Like, I remember first seeing it with like some friends or whatever like that. And then I was like, it was playing at the mall, and the local mall only played like, some movies or whatever the case may be. But 88, 89, 90 was like prime, like movie going experience at the mall. Like the mall just opened up. It had like, the movie theaters and everything like that. So I would go to this all the time. So Uncle Buck is one of those classics that I've seen over and over again at the movies with, dates, with friends. Like I said, I still have the movie stubs somewhere,
I love back in the day when a movie could hit so big and like you could literally like, life moved so fast when you're like that age, you took like 3 different girlfriends to see Uncle Buck, and it was like they were all serious relationships to you at the time. No, I was a little too young for that when this movie came out, but
I used to say it was a good movie not to see. Wink, wink. So the first time I saw it, I actually watched it, and then after that, it was just like, it's a good movie not to see.
It's McMakeout time.
Even though, like, mean, the context of the movie isn't exactly one that leads you to go like, yeah, this is a good movie to.
Wow. well,
great
now
family values want to make it.
The contrast with that, what gas station bathroom did you watch this in, Ian?
So if I remember correctly, this would have been, as we've discussed numerous times, this would have actually been a USA Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
I would have said it was the first time I would have seen Uncle Buck on cable.
Well, there's no wrong way to Uncle Buck.
It was a Universal movie, so USA was owned by Universal, so they would always play these movies. But then I do remember, seeing, because this would happen a lot. If I saw it on cable with the commercials, I'd go to the library, and
Okay.
try to see if I could find it. And I want to say that they had Uncle Buck at the library, the Wellman Public Library. So go get your library card. And yeah, I would have probably rented it also. I want to say that I did, but I do remember watching it on USA.
Well, like I said, there's no wrong way to Uncle Buck. USA definitely had the lowdown on Universal movies for a while. Like they had a quick turnaround to USA, put it to you that way.
Well, I mean, it was basically like if it wasn't Problem Child, it was like Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
Was
Child's Play, yeah.
Child's Play 1, 2, and 2.
Child's
and
Play 2, yeah, and 3, yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Halloween
Specifically, of
movies I
course,
used to
this
see a
movie.
lot on there too.
They would do that. They would do that, but yeah, I remember there was
That
like
I feel like that was a little bit more TBS. That was a little bit more of a Superstation kind of move. But I don't want to get too nostalgic because even just saying the word Superstation like takes me back to like a better time to be alive.
WGN.
But so at the same point, so does Uncle Buck. It really was. I mean, late summer '89. I think this was in August of '89 movie. Like there were just hit after hit. I mean, just classic, timeless movies to the gills in the summer of '89. Yeah, so many great ones.
Came out.
Well,
and not even to mention Batman '89. I mean, like,
oh, of course. Oh, I mean,
started. Was this part of the summer? This wasn't part of the summer of '89, was it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, August.
Yeah, it was.
Uncle Buck was in the summer of
Yep.
'89. What did come out in the summer of '89? Good gosh.
Only thing I can think of is Back
about-
to the Future 2 because it came out in November of '89.
Smart move.
Think about this. This movie
Pretty
made like
smart,
70
honestly.
something million. I think it did.
This was a big hitter. Yeah, I mean, Candy and Hughes were, when they teamed up, it was serious. So I'll get to my summer '89 Uncle Buck story in a sec, but I do want to check in with the live chat. I see Cobra Kai Never Dies in there. Angie Saunders, the Mashup Genius. Whiskey 41, the great Alex Bonafonte. Faith Hollingsworth. Gold's Code, the great Sean Gold himself. Katie P. Matthew Sharp in the chat so far. Matthew Sharp with the super chat. Thank you so much. And the Mashup Genius himself as well. So Gold's Code says nobody asked for this.
We got Katie P.
KDP, yeah, that's a new name. So thank you so much for tuning
Is
in.
that Katy Perry? Katy Perry watching?
I don't know. I guess so.
No, it's Katie. It's my Katie.
Oh, right on. Oh,
You have Katy Perry? No.
As soon as you said that, I started looking in the chat. I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that name.
So, not a lot of Uncle Buck stories, other than Kyle 2.0 saying I wasn't even a thought when this movie came out. Andrew Saunders asking someone why they don't like John Candy, and Gold's Code saying nobody asked for this, but fuck you, hosts. And also says, congratulations to Mickey on the nuptials.
Look, we'll get to it.
Thank you.
We'll get to
So
it.
I will get to my summer of '89 story. So this was the summer that I moved. My parents had these really good friends in our town, the Tamkins, and they moved from Northbrook, Illinois to Barrington, Illinois. And we're like, we are gonna move with them. And we literally bought the house next to the house that they bought. They were like, they lived in our neighborhood, and we're like, so we followed them this summer. And like, I always think of like Batman '89 and like Last Crusade is like the movies that kind of like I mark like moving by, but Uncle Buck was like a post move. But I would still remember going to the same theater we'd often gone to. It was the Cineplex Odeon in Arlington Heights, Illinois, right next to Rock Bonky, which is still there today. Rock Bonky, sadly, not the Cineplex Odeon. But if you ever sat in a Cineplex Odeon in the 1980s, there was like just this magical, like this was probably the first thing I ever became aware of, like when theaters would have their own little like shtick to play before a movie, and they would have this little Cineplex Odeon like logo to start, and it was kind of like, you can look it up on YouTube. It's beautifully nostalgic, and like it just takes you back to a time when like film was so magical, and you had like no idea how they did these things. Like, do they do this on a computer? Is this like, what is that? How is this? Like, you don't, now you know a little bit more about it. Like, well, that must have been on film. They must have printed these things on fucking film
16 layers
and attached them. Yeah. But it's almost like flying through this. Yeah. It's very virtual stadium. That was
that Regal?
I think that might have been Regal. Yeah. That was a fun one too. That was like sort of the, But like it got out of control for a while there without throwing out the baby with the bathwater here. When they were doing like Pepsi, Pepsi, when they started shoving Pepsi commercials in like too much before movies, it was like, all right, what are we doing here? And now it's just like it's a fucking scandal. You go to the movies now, the movie doesn't even start till like an hour after the time, like half an hour after the time because
Well,
they
they've got to do that
so
because the concession stand line takes you 40 minutes to get through it. I just went to see Twisters and it took 32 minutes to get through the line to get popcorn and a drink.
It's crazy. I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine recently, and Steve was gonna go and get some popcorn and what or get a drink or something, and he was just like, "No, the line was too long." I was like, "You sure this should be a half an hour of Coke commercials and Spotify commercials, whatever the fuck it is." But anyway, so getting back to Uncle Buck, I'm 5 years old in the summer of '89. I'm about to start kindergarten, and there are two movies that I distinctly remember as being my first times in a movie theater without my parents there. And one of them is Uncle Buck, and the other one is Karate Kid Part 3. And they're both with like people from our friends from our old neighborhood. And so, this is one of those movies that like obviously you feel like it's totally for you. You go in like, yeah, you're a huge fan of the great outdoors, whatever, as a kid, but you're like not even prepared for like how classic this movie's gonna be. Because like, I mean, I watch this movie now with adult eyes, and like it literally has me before a frame even comes on screen. Like just the music, the first needle drop, which is like before a logo even comes up. It's that the piano song, they bookend the movie with it. It's if you're just hearing the instrumental version at the beginning. It's so well. I mean, I was thinking about this rewatching the movie yesterday, and I was happy to be rewatching a movie because too often lately I haven't been able to rewatch movies before VCR. I've been so fucking busy. But I was thinking about it, and there isn't a single John Hughes movie in the '80s that didn't like caramelize, that didn't like homogenize. That like he could always get the most out of his ingredients, whatever it was he was working with, even as late as Dutch. Like when he was, staying true to who he was. Like I know there were like Beethoven movies and like shit like that in between, but I mean John Hughes' run was just incredible, and something about him and Candy together, and obviously Macaulay Culkin. This is one of those crux movies. This is like John Hughes is like really putting away teenage things. It's like closing the book on that, and he's going like, all right, I'm all in back on like the family shtick now.
I will say this. The most fascinating thing I've always felt with John Candy is how Hollywood had no idea how to market John Candy. And it did take John Hughes to finally kind of figure it out. Because if you look at his movies before John Hughes, it was Going Berserk.
Stripes. Was he Stripes, right?
He was.
Stripes. I mean, a lot of supporting roles. Yeah, Stripes.
Yeah, Stripes. Like Armed and Dangerous.
Splash.
It's Splash. I mean, John Candy was I hate saying it, but the big dumb guy, right?
Comic relief.
He was the big dumb comic relief. The not as extreme, but like the Chris Farley syndrome in a way, right? But
sure,
John Hughes saw Candy, and I mean, not just this, but like Plane, Trains, and Automobile brought us a side of John Candy that, to kind of bridge it to the end, is if you've ever seen a movie called Only the Lonely.
I love that movie.
Candy is like the romantic lead of the movie.
Yep.
And you almost, if you really look back, nobody would have bought that had John Hughes not bridged it and given him a role that made John Candy. He's not, he's sincere, he's dramatic, he's lovable, he's kind, he's considerate, he's the uncle that you really kind of, if you don't know that uncle, you wish you had that uncle, in the family.
I think I am that uncle.
You're right. That's exactly. That's the beauty of it. But it took John Hughes going, this isn't just a comedy. This isn't a comedian who we just throw in there. I mean, I will stand by this, and I really do believe it, that if Uncle Buck wasn't worthy enough of a nomination, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, what he does in the train station alone, that should have been nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh,
I mean, back then you didn't nominate comedies, and if you did, it was really like it had to be so out there, like Kevin
or like
Kline,
a Woody Allen comedy or something.
yeah,
like,
or I mean, like it had to be like something.
I totally agree, and I will throw in this wrinkle here, because while you're saying that, it sort of made me think, and when I think about movies like Who's Harry Crumb or Only the Lonely,
Oh, I love Who's Harry,
you know,
what's
like
the one,
these,
what's the one he did with
like,
where it was like the he was a writer or something like that.
Delirious.
Oh, Delirious, yeah.
Delirious,
Like you
yeah.
want to know what like the late 80s were like. You look at the films of John Candy and John Cusack, and like there's some mega hits in there, but there's a lot of like bass hits in there, you know. And like most of those movies, like Better Off Dead, like One Crazy Summer, they're not like blockbuster Back to the Future hits. They're like bass hits. But like Uncle Buck was like a really big hit. Uncle Buck was a huge summer '89 movie, and one of my all-time favorites to this day, just like Parenthood, which is another one I think
It was a hit to right
another
field
great movie around that time.
It was a hit
Yeah.
to it was a hit to left field or right field that got him on third base.
I mean, could you even imagine movies like Uncle Buck being like a box office hit now, let alone in a crowded year? Like, no way. They go
That's the
straight to
type of
streaming.
movie this Uncle Buck is the type of movie that the whole movie is supported by the actors. The actors are what make the movie. Nowadays, you've got movies that you have to keep the entertainment with the CGI and who's got the most cutting edge bullshit. Back then, there's none of that in Uncle Buck. You only watch it because you love the characters, you love the story, you love the way that they adapt to those roles. And we don't have a lot of that in cinema today. We have more cutting edge stuff and who's doing this. And as long as you can kind of run and scream with a green screen in the background, you got it, They rely more on the names and less on the talent nowadays.
Well, it's
And
true. I mean, if you look at
one of the last.
Even think about pitching this, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Mickey, but I'll just say this real quick. Even think about pitching this today. Is like the guy's 40, he doesn't have a job, he like kind of like flaky with his girlfriend a little, and like he like I don't know, he just does nothing. He basically steals money from horse fixing. And but we love him. He's so lovable, and it's like, what actor? We don't even have an actor that could pull that off now.
Yeah. And you love him because he's not the real. You can her frustration with him. The girlfriends, you're like, oh, how could she be so mean? He's Uncle Buck. He's great. We love him. We love him in the movie. In real life, if you know someone that's a degenerate gambler with no job, you don't like him as much as Uncle Buck. So he has that genuine sincerity about him that you just love.
If you're Shanice Kovalovsky's like brother or cousin, like you think Buck Russell is a fucking scumbag.
He's
you know
the
what I
worst,
mean?
yeah.
Like you're like, oh, that fucking loser.
He works for her.
No, he won't even start. She keeps trying to give him a job. He won't even show up for day one. That's how much you would hate that guy. You're right. Like I get it, but when you're 5 years old, it comes out, you're like, I love this John Candy. I love this guy.
I wish I had one of those uncles.
And that's part of what the 80s was all about. Like, especially, I say this all the time about John Cusack specifically. All the things that John Cusack does in all these romantic comedy movies, which are some of my favorites, if any of those things are done by a guy who looks like Steve Buscemi, they're terrifying. If any of the ways that like he even says, like he even verbally flirts with a girl, if Steve Buscemi says that, it's fucking terrifying. It's only cute because he's fucking John Cusack and he's really cute. And how's it not going to be cute when Cusack does that shit,
You are absolutely right. If Billy Bob Thornton was Uncle Buck, would not work.
Of course not.
No, you just had
Billy
Bad
Bob
Santa.
Thornton was Uncle Buck in Bad Santa, but it was a little bit more R-rated.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't work unless it's the John Candy charm. I mean, really,
the lovable guy.
The lovable,
right?
Yeah,
because no matter what he does, you can't, as the viewer, you can't dislike him. You can't hate him. Now, in real life, you could be like, "Listen, you fucking slacker, get your shit together." But
he doesn't
in
do
the movie,
anything to
you
harm.
can't hate him. He can do no wrong in the movie.
He's not doing anything to harm anybody. He's
Yep.
just
Right.
living his life.
He's
Right.
trying to be
And
Uncle
he-
Buck.
like,
He's just trying to say,
the-
hey,
the-
I don't want a job. Let me
Yeah.
go. Let me make the money the way I make my money. Let me smoke cigarettes if I want to smoke cigarettes.
Cigars. He's on the 5-year
Cigars,
plan.
The 5-year plan, yeah.
I'm gonna-
Cigars.
You know, I'd laugh, but like I kind of had a 10-year plan. I literally went from smoking cigarettes for like 1,000,000 years to just smoking e-cigs for 10 years, and I just quit doing that. So, yay for me.
I used
but
to
do
do
wanna-
that same kind of plan though. Like I would smoke cigarettes, and then when it would get too cold to go outside, then I'd just start chewing. I'd start chewing tobacco because it was too cold to go outside to smoke. I'm like, fuck this. I'd throw a dip in, and then that's what I'd do until summer came. Now I don't do anything, but I did. I was on that Uncle Buck plan. The cigars.
Yeah, I never got. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny. I wonder what the new Uncle Buck plan would be like. I go from, vape mods to like Juuls, from Juuls to e-cigs, from e-cigs to nicotine gum, and from nicotine gum to the patch, or something. I don't know, something
We
like
did
that.
make mention of the gum in the Uncle Buck too.
That was a cutting edge to be mentioning.
However,
nicotine gum.
to this day, I really hate his sister-in-law.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh totally.
I don't like her.
Oh my god, yeah.
No,
That-
she's
and I
There
think
wasn't
the
anything
first-
redeeming about
From,
her.
like the first memorable line in this movie is she turns to the daughter and just says, "I think I've had enough of your ugliness." Like that's
Yeah.
a weird like word for that. Like I don't know. Yeah, it's one of the
Or,
she
like,
is one
the
of the
fact that-
she is one of the least likable moms that John Hughes ever wrote, because like literally every time John Hughes writes a mom, he writes like, "Oh my God, I want Catherine O'Hara to be my mom." I was like, "Oh my God, I want Beverly Dean." They're usually like the great sweet. You could tell he really loves his mom. For some reason, he was going through a dark phase. Him and his mom were fighting when he wrote this one. Like,
Seriously.
or the
but
fact
also,
that
why does the dad go?
why does the dad
Well, he
go?
goes to be
That's the
support.
only
So
script-
for support.
Yeah.
Because the thing is
Yeah,
that
if your
the
wife's
father could
fucking
die.
dad, yeah, if your father-in-law has a heart attack, you go with the wife.
And the kids go with you, or you stay.
Well, I agree with that. Totally
Yeah,
agree
that's the
with
only
that.
that's the only plot point of Uncle Buck I never really was so convinced by, but I know it's a minor.
Well,
Maybe,
in reality,
they seem like they
I
don't like to
guess maybe
spend
they
a lot
didn't
of
want to
money.
take them out of school. Back then, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
you get out of school, for
Yeah, but
anything.
for the grade school
job.
kids, it doesn't matter
That's a
for,
job.
I don't know. But anyway, I do want to touch
That's a
on the chat.
job.
And,
He has a job. What are their jobs? I don't know. I never understood that.
so I do want to pose a question, because we're getting close to pitch time. But I do want to pose a question for everyone on the panel, everyone in the chat, to what your favorite scene or what your favorite line was. So also, I want to touch on the chat real quick, because some people are already requesting the airborne tie-in pitches here. But Mikey Riffraff says he saw this on cable, and Whiskey41 says he thought the theater's a bunch. So there's a little bit of backstory on this. And to my point, Kyle 2.0 says, went to see Deadpool and Wolverine at a 10 p.m. screening, didn't actually get on until 10:30, so exactly right. Gold's Code already excited about the ideas of Karate Kid 3 and working its way into the pitches. So we will get there. We're only 2 minutes away. Mikey Riffoff saying Candy was an improv master. I definitely agree. And then, we get a lot of love for Only the Lonely, The Great Outdoors, which is another one. I swear we're going to do Great Outdoors. That's like, I need to do that movie. It's such another fabric of my
that movie's
childhood.
great.
But for me, I think my favorite scene, and it's still on my top 5 lists of favorite movie foods, is the pancake scene. There's just something so charming about the giant fucking pancake. It's the most ridiculous.
Wait to see the giant toast.
Yeah, I couldn't even get it through the door. Oh. But that's the uncle that we all want, Uncle Buck, right?
I
there,
like
the giant fucking
my two
pancake.
favorite scenes. Is the washing machine scene when he's like cursing at the washing machine.
Oh God, yeah, that's so
for the
good.
time
Yeah.
for the time and the rating, like the verbiage he uses is that's pretty strong. Like I was just rewatching it and I had to close caption.
You're gonna take my
I was
load.
doing something else and I'm like, did he really just say I'm gonna give you my load whether you want it or not? I'm like,
So I
that is-
have this
that's pretty
theory that
strong.
the MPAA back in the day, they were soft on comedies. They were hard on horror, but
Yep.
the reason was if you could do jokes that they knew the kids would have no idea, would go completely over
Double
their head,
meaning.
they'd
Yeah.
let you still get the PG rating or whatever it was that you needed to, like, you know, bring the whole family, because they'd know, like, oh, none of the kids are gonna have a fucking clue what he means, but the adults are gonna be elbowing each other, you know.
And I
So
love when he's talking to his girl on the phone and he's like, "Would you?"
Classic
Oh,
Candy.
I
But
also love the clapper, you know, the clapper turning
Oh
on
yeah,
the
the whole
Chicago Cubs
city, the whole
sign.
city
Yeah,
goes out.
yeah,
I
the
will.
Cubs.
I will
Yep.
say it. I have a few favorites besides, you know, the you know, him with the axe and the boyfriend. You know,
yeah.
you know, is that kind of like an
Yeah, that
act?
laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorta. The two parts I laugh at the most. One is always, well, maybe three. The his question with Macaulay Culkin. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
who are you? Da, 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 da. Is it-
Yeah, I'm your dad's brother, all right. Like, yeah, you have much more nose hair than my dad. Yeah,
part.
nice of you to notice. Yeah.
I laugh hysterically. I don't think it's one of those moments that nobody else laughs at. But when they're calling Buck and Bob, Buck, Bob, Buck,
That one is good.
Bob, over here. Well, all these houses,
Honestly,
you know,
that whole the whole intro is so priceless now that you're getting me thinking about it. Like,
Yeah.
even the way he's like he doesn't know who he is on the phone first, like, Bob who? Like, fuck, it's your brother. Like, Bobby. Oh, you little pissant. What are you, drunk? Yeah, you know, like.
and they live in the same town. So the way that it's funny, they always made
Yeah.
it like they
Well,
had.
no, they explicitly say that he's in the city
He
and he's
lives
right
in
by
the
Wrigley
city.
Field.
Yeah,
They're in the
he lives in the
burbs, you know.
city. His brother is in the burbs.
Chris, they're not that far. You know darn well it's easy.
I get it. It's like Park Ridge burbs. It's like the
Yeah,
fucking
like,
5-minute burbs, but it's still like, come on.
Yeah, but the one that I just love, and I could watch it all day long, is the scene with the clown and the guy from Dumb and Dumber. I can't remember his
Mike
name.
Starr.
Mike Starr. That is just
with this all-night bachelorette party.
Party,
You know what I mean? You know?
Get in your mouse, get out of here. Listen,
What are
you
you-
low life jerk.
What are you, Mother Cabrini? You never touch the stuff?
Just
I'm the king of local entertainment. I'm a god.
just punches him. I mean, Mike Starr, that I'm gonna say that is in the pantheon of just does not give the credit for that role because it's a small role, but he made it everything.
I have to say it, the man ain't clowning around.
You
Also in the chat, Angie Saunders saying, I actually love the Great Outdoors. So there is some requests for, I take that as a request for a Great Outdoors episode in the future.
I'll
VCR
request it.
Redux.
I'll
And
request it.
also in the chat, I see Caitlin Altman, America's Next Top Model, and Toots LaRue joining the chat. So thank you so much for joining, guys. It is pitch time, folks. I've been really doing this a lot lately. I've been really rolling the dice on this. Like doing these things that like you shouldn't, we shouldn't even try. Like, no, we shouldn't be pitching Jerry Maguire 2 or Forrest Gump 2 or It's a Wonderful Life 2, but that's what we're here to do. And sometimes we make the impossible happen. Sometimes we swing for the fences and fall on our asses, but we always start in the live chat, and there is already some good stuff in there because Cold's Code saying the Quicksilver Buck method combining Karate Kid 3 and Uncle Buck needs to happen. And you know something? If we're gonna have someone else play this, Terry Silver, Thomas Ian Griffith, that may be my Robert Downey Jr. Like, you put that man in anything, in every role, and I'm here for it. That's what Marvel should have done, by the way, instead of Robert Downey Jr. also as Doctor Doom. That's a side note. There's also, of course, the Airborne crossover pitches already. There's Uncle Buckborn and there's Airbuck in the chat. So
Airbuck, what is wrong with you?
Airbuck is great. No, what's wrong with you? You're un-American, Ian. You're anti.
Like, if you had to do a sequel to this, I would be interested in seeing Macaulay Culkin come back and be Uncle Buck. Like, he learned.
Oh God, yeah.
Like he grows up to be like Uncle Buck. Like,
And
that's his-
Maisie's husband has a heart attack and she goes out of town or something, so he's got to like go there and
yeah,
take care of
and
her
then,
3
like,
kids. That's kind of cute.
and
Yeah, I
then
mean
the-
that
and
works.
then
That
you
does work.
You get Tia back visiting and saying, "Aren't you gonna grow up?" This and that. He's like, "Why? Uncle Buck never did."
But
Yeah,
do
I
they
think
call?
Tia should be just like her mom. She should grow up and be just like her mom.
Oh,
with the
Tia
stick
should
up her
just be the
ass.
bitchy mom. Yeah, like
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
dinner.
already halfway there.
We've done this before, but this is how I think it should have been. This is going to be the alternate universe take. In 1990, I'm going to say 92. There was a sequel called Father Buck or Daddy
Oh, the
Buck.
time travel pitch. Okay.
It's the time travel.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh no, this is a
Papa
pitch.
Buck.
This-
Buck's having kids. Yeah,
What?
all right.
I get it.
Wait, Preston, what'd you say?
Papa Buck.
Papa Buck. Papa Buck.
Buck.
That's funny. I like that. Papa Buck. So him and Shanice got married and he's having kids. But Shanice has to go out of town, right? On some emergency. Maybe her parents, something happened to her parents. And Buck's all alone with these twin kids because he had twins. Because that's what the damage, he would have had twins. All right.
Oh.
And so the kids have to come over and help Papa Buck deal with the kids. And,
I love this.
And all the chaos that happens with Buck trying to live the life of Buck, but now he's having to be and Buck moved into the suburbs. And so Buck, now it's a fish out of water.
I like it.
Buck cannot stand the suburb life.
Yeah, you make it a little bit of like easy money there, Rodney Dangerfield style, where like he's got the weirdest little neighbors, a little bit of she's having a baby, those kind of neighbors.
The brother could be the neighbor, and the brother and the sister-in-law are pissed off because maybe Buck hit it on the horses, and that's how he can afford to live in the neighborhood.
Oh my God.
That they work so hard for, because nobody hates people moving in next to him like that more than the working people. They're like, oh, you didn't deserve that. You won the lottery. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
he should have like a windfall.
He put the money into Shanice's tire business, and it went like national, and now it's huge. It's like Kobolowski Tires is like national.
It's like the Jiffy Lube.
Yeah,
the tires
they're
are
like
Jiffy Lube.
They're practically like Michelin or Goodyear now. It's like Kobolowski Tires. Like I make tires for the American working man because that's what I am, and that's what I care about.
I love
those.
That's a movie that you watched on a Friday night after getting pizza from Pizza Hut and going to the local mom and pop video store, and you and your whole family watched Papa Buck.
No, I would have been at the theaters watching Papa Buck.
I would have
done.
On video. That would have been our on video one. I would have probably.
Fuck you! That's a theater. That's a theatrical event, man. I'm there day one.
I couldn't wait till it came on video. Remember, back in those days, it took a long time to come on video.
Mickey's just like me. We'd sit in the fucking last row in the back, and we'd be styling.
Oh my God, no, that's part. But like part of it is maybe they're going through a divorce, and it's like he's gotta prove himself with the kids, and she can't take the kids with her, but she's worried, and so he needs help, and so they come on in, or maybe that's the
last chance.
Or maybe that's the third act reversal. He finally calls the kids and be like, I need your help. Come help me out with all of this stuff. And
I love this. I want to go see this movie now.
That.
Take my money.
I see the poster. I mean, it's the same as like this, but it's it's all the kids over here trying to get in, and
he's on the other
trying
side.
to hold them all out.
Oh, that's cute. You fucking flip it. You cute bastard. I'm in. I'm so in.
Yeah.
You got me right there.
As much as I hate to think of Uncle Buck without John Candy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it in terms of like, remember that show Wife Swap, where the one mom would go to one. So what if the sister-in-law went to watch Buck's kids in Buck's dilapidated squalor house, and she's got the stick up her ass, and these kids are running around on sugar high with type 2 diabetes, going
I
nuts.
love it. I don't know how you make it happen, but you just do because that is fucking perfect. It's a body swap comedy or brain swap. I don't care anything. I
But
love it so much. Like, take my money. That's it. Sometimes the best thing I can do is just shut up and get out of the way and let people pitch great shit like that on the
we
show.
did it. We did have a
'Cause-
John. We
Or
did
maybe-
have a
or
John
maybe-
Candy.
Maybe Tia's the
dress up movie.
babysitter. Maybe Tia has to
Oh,
babysit.
oh, that could be interesting. Tia, yeah, and Tia never had kids, and oh,
So
yeah.
she still grew up like the
Because
mom.
because it's easy to think, oh, Macaulay Culkin, let's do him. But yeah, Tia, that's an interesting twist too. I would totally watch that. That she
Okay.
becomes a
Yeah.
little bit more like what's that one with Charlize Theron where she goes back home and everyone's like, what the hell's wrong with you? She's kind of a young an
No.
adult, but she's not like young adult or something.
Yeah, it was the Diablo Cody.
Yeah, I think so. You know what I'm talking about. Any rate.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, well, I was gonna just.
Oh, go ahead then.
Oh, just in the chat. Just because
Okay.
tying into the Macaulay Culkin pitch from before, Mikey Riffraff, another mashup genius himself, has a great pitch. He says Macaulay Culkin is the uncle. He drives a Prius with a broken hybrid system, and he comes to help keep an eye on his sister's grandkids. The parents are working, and grandma has a medical emergency. So there's some justice in that, that maybe
Culkin to be the star nowadays. I just don't. I
No,
know.
it's just that if you're doing it nowadays, I mean, Macaulay Culkin doesn't do anything nowadays, but if he were to revisit any of his projects, to me, I think Uncle Buck would be the best.
Oh God. Great. If you could snap your fingers and bring John Candy back to life for, 2 more movies, it would definitely be another Uncle Buck and another Great Outdoors because like I feel like the Great Outdoors sequel like writes itself, but we'll get to that in a couple of weeks, I suppose. when we do
I got
that.
the bomb version though.
Although I would love
Okay,
more
all
planes,
right,
trains, and automobiles.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there you go, the trilogy.
I've got the version that bombed in 1993. Okay.
Okay, lay it on me.
Okay. You saw him do it on Armed and Dangerous. You saw him do it in SCTV. You saw him do it in Nothing But Trouble. Aunt Buck.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Oh, that's
I didn't say it's good. I said it's the version that bombed in
That is
1990.
horrible.
An alternate.
No, the other, you know what? The other
He
version
Jack
that
and Jilled
bombed.
it,
I
and
love
it
it. There's like a cop and a half version that bombed in 1993 too, like a buck and a half, like a buck in the hood, where it's like he has to do the
Yeah.
same exact thing over again, and like almost as if like he didn't have any of the growth or character arc from the first movie, but now it's in the hood. Now it's just with like cute kids in the hood.
Well,
and he's gonna
remember-
live there.
Poster,
Remember,
it's
he
Uncle
lives
Buck
in the
over
city.
here, and it's Aunt Buck
What
over
about-
here.
What
I'm
if
your
the
worst
kids
nightmare.
visited him in the city? Remember he said like, "Oh, next time you got to come to my house," whatever like that. What if the kids came to the city?
And they stayed
meet-
with Buck and Shanice.
and
Okay.
they find out that there's an Aunt Buck. He had a twin sister he didn't know about, and she pops up because
And Bucky, played by
Aunt
Lori
Bucky.
Laughlin.
Oh my God, no!
She's been
Oh my
cheating.
God, Aunt
She's been
Bucky.
cheating. She's
Yeah.
been cheating on the paperwork of everything her whole life. She's just got job cheating. She's just lied on every resume. She fakes
just-
every application. She.
No, it just baby got swapped out. I don't
So there's another one in the chat. From Whiskey 41.
Cousin Bucky comes to town, and it's
Mrs. Buckfire.
Mrs. Buck.
Well, I think Robin Williams was one of the actors considered for this movie, and at one point, I may be
Or-
crossing streams with another. I watched a couple of those 10 things about movies today, so I don't want to talk out of school. But there's a pitch anyway. Whiskey 41 has a pitch. His pitch: Uncle Walter, Big Lebowski, is back in Nevada to babysit Bro's kids. But when his teenage niece is touched inappropriately, the Nombat must introduce slimy Steven Seagal into a world of pain. I did not know where that was going, and as soon as the words left my mouth, I really regretted it. Whiskey 41. We're always in favor of the Steven Seagal stuff, but man, that was brutal in the middle there. But also, there's another one in the chat, Charles Connolly, saying, "I love an Uncle Buck sequel. They could have his daughter Jennifer in it." I assume that's John Candy's real life daughter. He says, like a road trip type of movie. Yes, the other Buck from the Great Outdoors, who is the younger Uncle Buck. That's another interesting thing. Yes, it is.
Uncle Buck?
Yeah, you know, it's
Well, could you have a
Buck,
prequel?
Buck and I are getting a pond. Yeah, you cruise the lake in comfort, or you want to get a kick-ass pontoon boat with me and Buck and I? You know. Oh yeah, it is
Could
coming
you have
back
a
to me.
prequel of Uncle Buck? So how
I thought about
Buck
that.
became Uncle Buck, like how he became the way he is. Because remember, he tells that like little story, like, you know, everybody used to say like, "Oh, it's so great. You don't have to work a 9 to 5. You don't have to go to an office, this and that, whatever."
So you want like Uncle Buck the glory days, where it's just like a
Yeah, living the dream. Uncle Buck living the dream.
You think
Everyone
he
else
had
is-
glory days? In my experience, guys like that have never had glory days. Now, if you talk to them, they think that they've had glory days, and they'll try to convince you, "Oh, yeah, back in the day, you should have seen me when I owned 6 companies, and I was." Yeah, okay, that
Well, maybe that's what you show in the prequel. That
Well-
while like, you know, he might have talked a big game, that he's really like striking out with the girls. He was like, you know, he wasn't zooming the girls like he said.
he wasn't taking them to
You're
see Uncle Buck
basically
5
doing
times.
Ace Ventura Junior Detective.
Yeah, I mean there has to be, you know, obviously a story there and some stakes there. It's not outside the realm of possibility. I just don't know what else you add into that, other than like a fractured relationship with the brother maybe or something.
Although, to be fair, at one point in my life, I did write a treatment for Before the Pink Panther, where Inspector Clouseau was in high school. So it is possible.
If I could like imagine the most unsellable thing in the
Young Buck.
history of fucking fiction, I think that's probably it. I'm sorry.
There you
man.
go.
You
I had
could
some
do
really
Young
good
Buck.
jokes in there.
I bet you did. I bet you it's good. I didn't say it's bad. I just said unfucking sellable because they're
What
like
if-
that is not worth the fucking paper it's printed on.
He was
Like,
a foreign
Jesus
exchange
Christ.
student. It worked perfectly.
Like you and fucking Peter Sellers and Steve Martin are the only people on earth who still give a shit about the fucking Pink Panther. I
Although-
swear to
Oh my
God.
What if Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was really Buck trying to get to the house to watch the kids? You know, like a
Oh,
mashed
okay.
up.
I was
Oh,
gonna go
that's
here. I
pretty
was actually
good.
kind of gonna go there in the sense that like we've done the
That's
John
pretty
Hughes verse. What about the John Candy verse, right? What if you somehow had like a movie that just tied all the John Candy movies together, and like how would that
Well, you
work?
could
Like
totally
what kind
do
of
it
like
if he was the
like
writer. If he was the writer, like in Delirious, he wrote all this stuff.
oh my
Oh,
God,
yeah.
you could just like
And-
fan edit that right now, yeah.
After Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, he finally procured a van to get home. And that's when he saw Catherine O'Hara at the airport trying to get home from Home Alone and was like, "Hey, join us in the van." Remember when
Fuck.
John Candy's in
Yeah.
Home Alone giving her the
Yeah.
ride? Like
Yeah.
it
And
all comes full circle.
and it's the polka years and it
It's
ties
the
that all in.
polka,
Oh,
Fucking
yeah.
That was Buck's glory days. He was gonna make it as a polka guy, and
He
like
was.
in the
Now
world
he's
of
washed
polka,
up.
he never succeeded. But the guy who like printed his records, the guy who like was his skeevy manager and fucked him over, made it
His
up for
accountant.
him by fixing him up with a horse fixer. He's like, this guy is gonna fix horse races every now and
There you
again.
go.
You just live off of this guy like me, and it'll be okay. And that's how we get to Uncle Buck, and it's a beautiful, perfect circle of a movie, a pretzel, if you will, like a Terminator sort of figure eight of time travel and
Like he never had a
storytelling.
job
And when
because
he
he was
went through a
trying to go
midlife-
for that rock star life.
And when he went through a midlife crisis, he dressed up like Divine. And
Oh,
When he went through his midlife crisis, he dressed up like a dog or a Mog, half man, half
Bad
dog. He was
Mog.
his own best friend.
He took
Yeah.
peyote and went on a
Thanks.
Winnebago trip with his friend Bill Pullman, and he like, had this crazy dream that they were in space. And
They were in a van again. They took it in the back of the van with Catherine O'Hara on their way to take her home.
and
Planet
at the end of
Druidia.
the movie, he's in a hospital bed, and he wrote all this.
You know what? How do we tie in Cool Runnings? That's another one that I really want to do on VCR soon too. So it's the only
Oh,
one I think
yeah.
we haven't tied in yet. We got Delirious, we got Only the Lonely in there. It's
I'm
Summer
a
Rental
badass
too.
mother.
Oh, I don't know how you get Summer Rental. to
Summer
top my
Rental
word, yeah.
is the honeymoon that him and Shanice
Oh,
took.
fuck
Ah.
me. You're right. And those are
There we
her
go.
kids. Turns out she has
Kids.
old
He's
kids.
the
And yeah,
stepdad. Yeah.
Carrie Green could totally be Amy
You know, we
Madigan's
say
daughter.
this stuff joking around, but It's pretty
works.
fucking good. You know, I mean, we've tied
Works.
everything together, even his little
You could
cameo.
do worse. You could do worse. Oh, all right. Now it gets real crazy because you got to tie in JFK, the Oliver Stone
Oh my
JFK.
No, but anyway, Mickey, it works. It doesn't matter. Everything of that life could be the delirious writer.
Correct.
Because
It all works. under
Wagon
that-
Z,
that
he could
concept.
he could write. He could grab the script. He's like, I'm going to be in a western, and now you're doing Wagon Z's.
We don't need to tie that one.
Essentially,
Oh, don't you dare!
essentially-
Don't you dare! That's a great movie. How dare you?
Essentially, the John Candyverse is Forrest Gump.
Oh, I like this.
'Cause
God,
we
you know,
tie
I almost
every-
now you're making me think like if John Candy had still been alive, would he have played Forrest Gump?
Oh, whoa.
I could have seen it.
Honestly, I could have bought it. I mean,
I could have totally bought it. Imagine if that was his fucking swan song, his final performance. Like,
You know, you
like I
just
said,
it just
the one
it's,
thing he
there's
never
some
really got
roles
to
that you
do was-
just
you can't see anyone other than Tom Hanks. I know. I
I
totally
can't do
get
it. I don't have the vision, man. I don't have the
Yeah,
vision.
yeah.
I totally get that. I
could
totally
see
get that.
I could see John Candy as Lieutenant Dan.
Although to pitch another like flop one, I'm kind of glad we didn't get.
Flash reunion?
I'm glad we didn't get the early 2000s era like remake sequel kind of thing, like Crocodile Dundee in Las Vegas style, but like with like Lewis Black or something. I love Lewis Black, and he would be like the obvious choice to be like a
Uncle
a sort of
Buck.
the Uncle Buck of that era, but it's too Billy Bob. It's not
Uncle
like
Buck goes to camp. Like what are you talking about here?
oh gosh, well I mean that's
Uncle
don't
Buck
think don't
does-
think that
Uncle
John
Buck
Candy
does
didn't fucking do
things.
that. There was Camp Candy. It was a cartoon show.
I love Camp Candy.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about Camp Candy. Yeah.
That's how fucking beloved the man was. He had a fucking
was good
cartoon
stuff.
show. It was good. It was a
Yeah.
good show.
It
It
was,
was a
right?
really good show. But yeah, I don't know how you tie Cool Runnings in or Oliver Stone's JFK, but other than that, I think we've tied in a lot of the Candyverse. There's another pitch in the chat though. Whiskey 41 has a pitch. A pair of alcoholic foster parents struggle to raise a kid named John, but when they get arrested on an episode of Cops, an AI cyborg teases him to be a well-adjusted leader in Uncle Terminator, Uncle Bob, working title. Okay, so I see what you're doing there. So, like, imagine like at the end of T2, if they didn't lower Arnie into the steel and he becomes Uncle Bob, Uncle Bob. That's honestly, I'd watch it. I'm not
could
gonna
see
lie.
that.
That's like the deleted scenes from T2 were kind of like that. He's like teaching him to smile and
Wasn't
like the
there
high
something
fives.
like? Wasn't there one like that? What was the one
You think
that
of
was
Small
kind
Wonder?
of the baby? No. Wasn't there one that was like the babysitter was kind of a? Maybe it was Hulk Hogan was in it. Was it Urban Commando or Suburban Commando or something?
Oh well, stay tuned because that's coming to
Urban
VCR Redux
Commando.
very soon.
Is
He
it?
was from outer
Nice.
space. He was from
Right.
outer space.
That movie's
To be
from
fair. That movie is a
Hulk Hogan makes
classic
some
piece
good
of
movies.
90s culture.
Yeah.
A classic piece of don't you dare besmirch Shelley Duvall, R.I.P. That movie is
Commando.
that it has one of the great trailer lines of all time. I was frozen today.
You know what would be another good one? I don't know if you guys have done it yet, but it's on the same feel good level as Uncle Buck for me. Is Opportunity Knocks with Dana Carvey. Do you remember that?
Oh wow. I see every time everyone says that, I think of Career Opportunities with
Career
Frank Whaley and
Holland?
what's her
Opportunity
name?
Knocks
Yeah.
is so good. It was Dana Carvey in his prime. It was perfect.
The Dana Carvey movie,
I
always
like
kind
Dana
of like
Carvey in
it's like
Moving.
clean slate.
You
It's
just
sort of like
bring
the
Dana Carvey moving, Mickey. Get out of here. Get.
I love Dana Carvey in Moving. That was like the best Dana Carvey to me was in Moving.
the best Dana Carvey was in Halloween 2, and we all know it. It's like David Spade in Police Academy 5. So just classic facts of life.
Oh man,
classic.
John Candy would have been awesome in a police
Dana
academy
Carvey's
too.
he's in Halloween too?
He is in Halloween 2.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like one of the background kids or something like that. He's like when they're talking about Ben Tramer or some shit
that's
like that.
right. I did remember hearing him talk about that. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, shit. Other than the Candyverse and other than imagining the daughter or Macaulay, I mean, is there another take on this? Like, or at least even if it's just a bad take.
Well, yeah,
You
and
know,
I feel like
doing
it-
an
I
Uncle
feel
Buck
like
takes
sequel
Buck takes
without
Manhattan.
John Candy, yeah,
you know.
that's the bad, terrible version.
No, but like Uncle Buck 2 Lost in New York or something, you know, like is there a
I think they
something
could
that
have
we're
done.
kind of
They could
ignoring,
have
you
done a
know?
couple other Uncle Buck movies, like,
well, they could have done a TV show for sure, a sitcom.
oh, didn't they? They did
They
do.
did do it twice actually.
Yeah,
They
they
did it
tried.
in the early 90s, and it was a dark take. It was like instead the parents are dead now, and like Uncle Buck's their permanent, you know, caretaker. So how
Really?
you make it, yeah, how you make a show out of it.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
I never heard of
It
that.
was a pilot. It didn't go anywhere.
No, they ordered a fucking at least a
Did they?
they ordered a full season. They didn't air the full season. They aired like all of them but 6 episodes or something.
Who
But
was John Candy?
it was commonplace back then. You know, they fucking did everything out of TV. Revenge of the Nerds had a TV show with Sean Kanan and Julie McCullough. The Fast Times at Ridgemont High had a TV show. Like so many fucking things had TV shows that were failed. Weird Science got one like 10 years later, of course, but
Yeah, but that
none
one
of
was
that
good.
failed. That was a hit. Yeah, I know.
That one failed up, sir. USA.
But there is some talk of the nanny with Hulk Hogan in the chat as well.
There was one in 2016 too, Uncle Buck.
Ooh, a good one in the chat though. Whiskey 41 pitches Jean-Claude Van
Mike
Damme
Epps.
is Time Uncle. And then also Uncle Optimus, produced by Steven Spielberg. You know what? Those Transformer movies, if you want to get me into one of them, that you need a radical take like this. You need to put me in the comfort zone of you know, something like this, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But before we wrap it up, is there anything you guys have got going on you want to let the people at home know about? Preston, any appearances coming up?
Yeah, I do. I've got this coming weekend, I'm going to be crashing the National Association of Miniature Enthusiasts convention in Nashville. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make an appearance, but I've kind of cleared my schedule and I'm going to head down there and do some selfies and do some shoulder rubbing. And then still in August, I have got the Kentucky State Fair coming up. I've got 4 entries this year, and I'll be popping in and out for the summer concert series and doing all that fun stuff. And then November, I'm coming up your way for Philadelphia Miniatura.
Oh man, well, you're making Kentucky and Philadelphia sound a lot better than they usually do. That sounds incredible. I'm definitely gonna come to the Philadelphia show. I'm not gonna miss that one. You make Kentucky sound Kentucky Fried awesome though. Ian, you got some articles out recently, right?
Yeah. So yeah. I've got a new story, a new short horror story, published in a book. You can get it on Amazon. It's called A to Z of Horror. U is for Unusual, featuring my short horror story, Mr. Frowny, about a killer ghost clown. So that you can get that just got online this week. So check that out. You can also check out my recent article for the B Movie Challenge here on Fandom Spotlight for a terrible cryogenic serious take on the subject of Frozen Alive from the 1960s. So you can enjoy that, and you can find me on Instagram, just klink.ian or Ian Klink. So follow me on Instagram.
And you can get lucky as well, right? Where can folks get lucky?
Newfangled.press. So you could order my novel Lucky.
Yeah. Mickey, anything going on in your corner of the world, or just same old, same old?
Same old, same old.
Alrighty, well, then I guess it's time for me to say that you Fandom fans might want to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we freeze Christopher Lloyd for our Suburban Commando episode.
Oh my God.
There it is.
That's so funny that I brought that up. I had no idea.
I was trying to get it in sooner for Shelley Duvall, honestly. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow the Bearded Miniatures, Fandom Spotlight, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
Black!